Well, hi, I'm Kevin Coop.
And I'm Tom Furphy.
And once again, we found ourselves in the same place at the same time. This has happened so much more than we thought it would happen. So we're going to do the Innovation Conversation live. And this is actually the last Innovation Conversation of 2019. It's hard, I don't even know where the year went. But we thought what we'd do, and we're sitting here at a bar in New York City, having a beer. And we thought we'd do is we play a little game of will, should. So each of us came up with one thing that we think, independently, one thing that we think will happen in 2020, and one thing we think should happen in 2020. You go first.
So I'm going to go first with the will, and it was funny when Kevin and I just compared notes, actually before we even poured the beer. We realized that we had basically the same will. And that will is that Amazon is going to do something in the healthcare/self-care space that's going to be both revolutionary and is going to cause a pretty big impact and factor in the industry. You know, you look at what Amazon's been doing over the last couple of years around developing skills in the Alexa environment. You know, we saw what they did with PillPack. We see their joint venture with Berkshire Hathaway and JP Morgan Chase. We see some of the things they're doing in AWS with Amazon Comprehend Medical, which allows them to take unstructured medical data and draw clinical conclusions. They're actually using that in cancer research now. And then the recently announced Amazon Transcribed Medical, I think it's called, that allows doctors, while delivering care, to have their clinical notes and patient notes transcribed into data.
And apparently it's really far ahead of where everybody else is. In other words, normally you'd say, the patient has gout, period. And you have to do that, but then you don't have to do that. It automatically interprets.
And so you think about the interpretive ability to do that along with Comprehend Medical and what can happen then with data and how that data can say, I have a disease state here, we have this conclusion here, we have this course of care here. And that, like the flywheel effect that can get created from that, it's pretty remarkable.
Well, now I came up with a similar sort of thing. I guess mine was a little bit broader in the sense that I think it potentially is not going to be just Amazon, CVS,
absolutely,
Walmart. You're going to start to see other companies recognize the fact that the healthcare business is a place where they need to be playing, and somebody in that mix is going to take a quantum leap forward and really make a change, in part because I think everybody's convinced the government's never going to face healthcare.
Absolutely. And I think, if you look at a lot of the incumbents in the space, so be it the chain drugstores, Walmart, larger retailers like that, but mostly chain drug and Walmart, they're doing a lot of pretty amazing things at the customer interface level. So kind of at the store level with what Walmart's doing with Walmart Health and what CVS is doing, with their Aetna partnership and some of the things they're doing there. I think they've done a really good job at the kind of patient-facing stuff, and they're going to be doing a lot more there. Amazon has started in a very different place. Amazon has started deep down in the data and in the capabilities, like around Alexa. They have an Alexa development environment where you can go in but just by developing within that environment as an outside developer, a skill that you release on Alexa is automatically HIPAA compliant. So Amazon is doing all this under the covers stuff, and what's next for them is to bring it above the covers. So we see these other retailers above the covers. What are they doing below the covers, to be able to really enhance their experience and be able to bring, data kind of as a critical element of that.
And it was interesting to see the story about Giant Eagle basically allowing their pharmacy customers to use Alexa to be able to tell them when to take medications. It's basically a verbal version of PillPack.
Makes total sense.
And I think it makes total sense to do it. It's interesting, are they putting themselves in a position where Amazon is going to suddenly have access to those customers? I think that's something they have to be careful of, but certainly everybody seems to be moving in the same direction. So I think in terms of a will, these are all pretty safe bets. So, should. What do you think should?
First.
Oh, you want me to go first?
Yeah.
What do I think should happen? I think what should happen is that retailers will finally realize that they need to be much more proactive about transparency, trackability, and traceability. And Amazon, I think, should lead that charge. I think Amazon's going to look and say, we can fix the counterfeit problem. We can talk about made in America, made in wherever. Mm-hmm. They can provide that information. It may mean taking a hit in short term in terms of profits. It may mean disrupting their business model a little bit. They've been expanding beyond just doing their own retail. Obviously, marketplace is growing. that might have to change a little bit. But I think they have got to realize and should realize that this is something the customer needs to know more than ever. So I think Amazon should lead the charge in terms of saying, we are going to provide the consumer with as much information as we possibly can about the products and make sure that what people are buying is what they believe they're buying. And that becomes even more important now, I think, with CBD, because we know there's a lot of counterfeits on the market with this product that says it has CBD and it doesn't.
Right.
They can't be in the position where they're seen as being responsible for that. So,
right. Although on Amazon you can't get CBD yet; it's only hemp oil. And
right.
It's it's products that elsewhere may be marketed as CBD.
Yeah.
But
I've heard there've been some studies though that have said that even the products that say they have hemp don't really have the hemp.
Yeah, well, it could be.
So there's a lot of that going on.
Yeah, and Amazon has 60 million Prime households in the U.S. that have placed their trust in Amazon, and I do think that Amazon owes them, in support of that trust, owes them to be on top.
Totally agree.
Yeah,
Should.
I think that what retailers should do in 2020, which frankly they should have done in 2019 and should have done in 2018. Although I think
I know where you're going. They should have done it in 1995.
Yeah, yeah, and some retailers do, but I would like to see, and maybe I'm just like a retail romantic, but I would like to see the industry and retailers take back the customer, right? So truly focus on the customer, truly understand who they are, truly engage with them so that data is generated, so that they have data to use. To help improve their services, and in a fashion where they actually own and are custodians of that data, and don't overtly share that data, to the benefit of third parties that aren't the customer. I know that's easier said than done. I know retailers have been generally faced with, this daunting task of, Amazon being this catalyst to change. 60 million households, as we said, have declared loyalty to Amazon. Now, other retailers have to do something to fight back against that. We have retailers at various stages of e-commerce capability. That's hard to do. It's an expensive business model.
And the cost of getting into business sometimes has been sharing data with companies, which will go unnamed for the moment, that suddenly have access to those customers. You don't own it anymore.
No, you don't own it anymore, and that is a totally understandable bridge to where you need to go. But I really think, and I challenge retailers to truly own the customer. And every day when you come in, you need to ask yourselves what you're doing to make your shoppers' lives better, and how you, at your core, as a retailer, are building your business around that proposition.
Well, and the metaphor of a bridge is really important, right? Because the bridge is supposed to get you from here to there. The problem is a lot of retailers are stuck in the middle of the bridge, and they're not going to where they need to be because they think they've completed the destination, and they really
and they don't know that there's a there there.
Right, and they don't realize that there may be, not to stretch the metaphor too far, but your bridges are in, if the infrastructure is rotting, if the infrastructure isn't strong, suddenly you end up not in a good place. Well, to me, that's so similar to what happened with efficient consumer response, right? Because retailers focused on efficient, they focused on response, but they forgot about that the core has to be the consumer.
Exactly.
And that's a long time ago.
All the consumers got out of that was bigger stores and cheaper inventory, which is good, but they didn't really get served in any better way.
Well, the good news for us is we're going to continue doing this in 2020. This is always a highlight of any given week. It's always lots of fun. I hope we get a chance to do it a lot more in person as well as doing it via email. But for the moment, Merry Christmas.
Happy New Year.
Happy holidays to you, everyone. And here's to a great year. Cheers, everybody.